드디어 HGC도 이번 주부터 새로운 패치 내용이 적용되는데요. 3주차까지는 3대0 스코어의 경기가 조금 나와서 많이 아쉬웠습니다. 하지만 3개의 뱀픽과 리뉴얼된 영웅들로 인해서 오늘은 조금 색다른 경기 양상을 펼칠 수 있을 것 같은데요. 우선 첫 번째 경기, 슈퍼노바와 글럭의 경기로 준비되어 있습니다. 이번 경기만큼은 짧게 끝나지 않을 것 같고요. 변칙적인 뱀픽을 보여주는 슈퍼노바 팀의 3벤이 굉장히 기대되고요. 이에 맞서는 글럭 팀은 오늘만큼은 그동안 다져온 내실을 보여줄 수 있는 기회가 될 거라고 굳게 믿습니다. 네, 그리고 다음 경기는 발리스틱스 대 펠리지의 경기가 준비되어 있습니다. 정형화된 뱀픽으로 강력한 운영을 보여줬지만 조금 영웅 선택의 폭이 아쉬웠던 발리스틱스가 3벤 시스템에서는 어떤 픽을 보여줄지, 그리고 이에 맞서는 펠리지는 어떻게 대응할지 기대해 보도록 하겠습니다. 오늘도 각 세트마다 모든 팀의 열정적인 경기를 볼 수 있도록 기대하면서 저는 첫 번째 인터뷰 시간에 다시 돌아올게요.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another week of HGC Korea. We are the first region, the first matches to show 3 bans per team. My name is Wolf, with me is GLuck, and it is going to be a very exciting day.
Yep. I think we basically know what's going to happen, though. Lots of Raiders, possibly even Irel. I see a lot of Irel bans now. Because we have an extra ban, that's actually a brilliant strategy to bring out for the drafting. I think we're going to see hints of that tonight, starting today. And of course, we have a very big matchup on Sunday. It's going to be Tempest versus Gen G. Might be the first place decider match. So we have an exciting weekend here.
Now, when first ban was introduced back in the beginning of Heroes of the Storm esports, mostly online tournaments and the like, it was 1 ban per team, and it was the same way we have our first bans now. Later on, when the pro scene was introduced in 2016, we had 2 bans introduced as the official rule set. It wasn't in client until 2017 or the end of BlizzCon there, but we had 2 bans. And at the beginning of 2 bans, we had support chokes was like actually how the game was played for a long time. Now that we have 3 bans, I'm curious if we'll see a warrior choke or a support choke come through. I'm expecting and also hoping that we will see more diversity of bans like what you're talking about with the Rainer and the Urel, for example. But I'm excited to see how it all plays out because each region's going to be different. Teams that have low hero pools are going to be tested.
They will be tested and they will suffer, actually, against the better team because of all those picks and bans. We were also always saying this game's already done from the ban pick, and it will actually be closer to it because of an extra ban. We do have a great standings here, lots of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 zeros, and this really determines we have the top 3. Miracle standing on 4th right now, but in between there, Blossom Supernova, I think they still have a great chance of climbing up there.
Yeah, there's a really good chance if they can win their next 2 matches. So, you know, Supernova here, their win today would almost certainly guarantee they will not go to Crucible, so it's a very important match for them. GLuck is a must-win in order to head in that direction. Same for Belize, down at the bottom, not winning a single map yet this round robin stage here in Phase 2. So Ballistics coming the big favorites. The second matchup may just be a wash, but the first matchup, Supernova versus GLuck, that's the one that I think if GLuck does bring good drafting today, intelligent drafting today, that it could go the distance.
Yep, I think it would matter a lot on their ban choices and the map choices again. I think for them to actually play something like Braxis and something crazy like the Avatar Falls that Samuro last time against Ballistics, there was some crazy drafting from them. I think they are ready to bring something spicier than that. I saw lots of support chokes like even happening in Hero League. I see it was because we had no idea, no expectation of what we were actually going to see with the 6 bans. I watched a lot of the streamers, a lot of the pro players actually streaming out, and there were actually crazy bans. They were actually having like first pick support and Malfurion, of course, and then support choke for the rest.
Yeah.
And it actually worked out like ban Alex Raza, ban Karazim, ban Uther. And then the opponent was like, what do we actually do now?
Yeah, you've got Stukov and Rhaegar, really your top tier choices at that point, but it might not suit your composition, so it gets a little bit awkward. Especially if you're like, if the support choke continues, you have to play around drafting for Stukov because you know that's probably what you're going to get if you're on the second side of the picks. So that can get a little bit exciting. And again, it does mirror what we saw in 2016 when the 2-ban system was introduced. So it's been 2 years, about maybe a little bit more than 2 years since we started with 2 bans being the way things were run. 2017, we had bans in client for the first time, and now we've upgraded to 3 bans. They've been live for a few weeks in, you guys' Hero League clients. Well, this is going to be the first televised pro match ever to have 3 bans on each side. So I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm excited to see new Rainer, because, if you're banning the Rainer and you're banning supports, then the Shimada brothers do leak back in, especially Genji.
Oh, Genji's always being banned. There's no way that Genji will be played.
So, there's certain ways that, if you're trying to support choke, you're going to have to make sacrifices. You're going to have to leave certain heroes open.
Oh, yes.
But teams and players with large hero pools are really going to excel, and I think this is going to perhaps even. I know it's going to sound crazy, but I think this might even further the gap between Genji and the rest of the league right now because of how big their hero pools are. I mean, Rich couldn't even play heroes like Olarock, as we've seen.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think Tempest is getting closer compared to it. I think their drafting is actually getting better, and their rotation was actually suffering a lot last year ever since they started 2016. But compared to that, they actually control quite a good of a macro with Lockdown's Falstad back in the meta. I think we will have some crazy ones. Rainer, I think, will be banned most of the time today, but I saw Rich first picking Rainer this morning, and he lost.
Ooh.
Oh, that
Rich
tells us
losing
a lot.
it. I mean, which one is more surprising? The fact that he was able to first pick Rainer, it wasn't banned, or that he lost?
Well, that gives you something. So Rainer, still, he's the same. He doesn't really have an escape. He can't, like, jump over the wall like the Overwatch heroes. So he does. Well, he can activate his E and gain his health back with the active now, with not a passive one. But still, if he's stun locked with the CC, he will be just deleted, just like what happened in BOE for Rich first pick. And still, I think that can actually be a bait, and you just bring all the CCs down, you just lock the target down, and he's just gone like that. Of course, he's really strong with the Rainer, with all the talents. We're gonna go all over that very soon. If he's picked, I think he's gonna be banned though.
I think he's gonna be banned every game as well. But if he does make it through the draft, we did see. Remember when Phoenix was released, we saw one game from Ballistics. SDE was able to play the hero. All day we were like, oh, Phoenix banned, Phoenix banned, Phoenix banned. Then BOE wasn't banned, but no one picked it. And then I remember it was Sky Temple, the last game, like of the 6 games we saw that day where Phoenix did make it through the draft, did totally crush with SDE using the warp build. And we could see something like that, maybe like one draft, Rainer sneaks through, a team's down 2-0, they have to switch up their bans, and then Rainer gets through as a result. We're going to go ahead and introduce these teams. I know I've been the biggest Supernova hyper since they joined this league, but I mean, these guys have a lot of potential. I think going into the rest of this round robin and next year, if they stay together, this team really does have the potential to grow and be a top 4 team in Korea. I strongly believe that their macro play is phenomenal and their team fighting is pretty good. Like, it's not Genji, Tempest, or Ballistics level, but it is very good.
Oh yes, they are actually above GLuck and Feliz at right now with 1 and 3, 6th place. They can climb up a little bit higher if they win against GLuck. They, of course, lost against Ballistics, GG Miracle 3-0, but against Miracle, we saw lots of close games. Of course, the result is 0 and 3, but the games, they were actually winning 2 games, and they just threw at the very end. It was very close, so it just shows that how much better they are actually compared to the bottom teams.
Certainly so. Well, here's GLuck. We've seen a lot of role swaps around the team for this one. Asgard and Overlord in particular kind of playing a little bit of everything. KCB still on the support, and Roxer, for the most part, main tank with some swaps here and there. You would think between these two teams that the player with the most hero pool would be No Chat. And if you look at his entire 2018 stats, that is true. But if you look at Phase 2 alone, just the 2nd season here of 2018, Aimer actually has played more heroes. He's played 9 heroes to No Chat's 6. So, Aimer does have the largest hero pool of these 10 players. So let's see if that becomes a big factor here in terms of DPS lockouts going into our first map, our first game ever with 6 bans.
I think it's going to continue, and oftentimes, whenever I look at Darvish, I do think of his Raven days, the dark days that we never want to remember again. But whenever we say Raven, you have to remember Asmodan was actually a thing for them, and he also got a rework. We can't forget, because Asmodan is not really banned too many times, but still he makes it out to the Hero League for semi-global control, I would say, something like a map like a Spider Queen, you can get so many stacks on this map.
Oh, that's certainly true. I had my sheets badly orientated here. I'm looking for my GLuck stats. I don't know why I pulled out Aimer there. But if you do compare, actually, to give you guys a more legitimate and not misquoted thing like I just did,
Look at the thing of beauty. We have 6 on top.
But yeah, it's actually still no chat with 6 versus the 8 of Roxor, 7 of Asgard, and 8 of Overlord. So still...
Raider! Ben!
Higher hero pools for GLuck, but a lot of that due to the flexibility. We will see the Genji ban come through as well. So right now, we're starting to see the normal high priority heroes. As you look at the bans down here, Genji pulling 83%. And number 2 is a fat 60% below at Malfurion 28. I think Malfurion will probably fit in this final slot here. This is, of course, Phase 2 exclusively.
Last time Rainer was played in Korea was 2017, Phase 1 Part 1 at the very end. It was played once, never ever banned. So this will actually be the first time we have a Rainer ban officially in competitive heroes in Korea.
So Phoenix will still take up the first slot. This has been a primarily DPS heavy ban that we've seen bans flowing through early on. As you can see, the triple DPSs. Alex will get his favorite Alex Strasser here as we head into Tomb with the Yrel. And I do like the draft so far for Supernova taking the top tier DPS. Great for wave clear and pick potential, plus strong roaming soul laner and Alex Strasser.
You actually do have less time to actually choose a hero now because we have another slot for the bans. Just something on your mind that you actually have to think. You have less time. Sergeant Hammer, so they just want to remove all the DPS before it's picked up, but they do already have Phoenix for Supernova, so I don't think that's going to be too big of a problem.
We'll see
Asmodan!
Asmodan, of course, reworked. There's been conflicting opinions, I think, amongst the pro scene, whether it was a buff or a nerf, but when you're playing against a squad that's got large hero pool flexibility, you don't want to risk dealing with this hero right now, especially because it's a good map for Asmodan, Spider Queen, of course, and you have Johanna on the other side, so help you clear quite quickly.
I think Supernova has a really good idea because they like to do something crazy, something new that the other teams actually does not do too many times. I think they have a good read on what GLuck wanted to do on this map. It was their map choice as well. So banning Asmodan just for safety, I think it was a really good ban there.
Yeah, very safe choice. For Supernova now, you know, as we head into this last rotation, they need a second DPS. It will be the Junkrat. So that allows Yrel to be a lot more roamy as a solo laner because, you know, she has high CC, very strong pick potential. They grab Garrosh, that works well with that. So you've got Concussive Mine, you have Hammer Stuns coming out from Yrel, you have her Avenging Wrath, you have Garrosh tosses, Groundbreaker. Like, this comp is looking to get kills before bunkers go down. Iron Skin is going to be the biggest deterrent, but if anyone else gets caught, there's so much kill potential on the side of Supernova right now, it's insane.
Yeah, they do have Bunker as a safety tool, but that's only nearby places. We actually have Kel'Thas for the final pick. I think they really wanted to have some burst damage along because you just want to go through that armor, which is pretty painful.
Yeah, the Kel'Thas burst is important. The ability to stack up the AoE damage he's going to put when he puts his Living Bomb on people is very strong against Alex Strasser because you're forced to group up in order to receive healing. So he kind of counters that in some ways by forcing you to split, makes that opportunity to grab the heal a lot more difficult. So kind of a cool pick here to close things out. And I know everyone's like, oh, Kel'Thas lol, but no, actually we will be seeing more picks like this with the new ban system. So get excited because it's time for a more diverse Heroes of the Storm, no longer just meta picks. You're going to have to think on your feet. You're going to have to draft intelligently if you want to get advantages going forward.
There are lots of reasons behind the Kel'Thas. Great for the wave clear on the map, but mostly because Alex Strasser, you want to get into that circle of abundance, but the Flame Strike actually does about the same range. You can actually get more stacks if you go... No, it is not going to be mana this time.
Yeah. I mean, he could have potentially if he, builds into the Ignite, really ruin everything with his Flame Strikes on that same area.
I was looking for Convection, possibly, but not going to happen this time. They do want to go safe, safer.
Yeah, the Mana Barrier is going to be very safe against this much CC. You're always putting a risk of being instantly blown up. If instead you have the, the shield, once you build it, of course.
Also, Alexstrasza did get a change with the Life Finder. There is, I guess, higher of a chance that we're going to see that, but still, I think Cleansing Flame is just the right choice.
Yeah, Cleansing Flame is way safer. It's Alex's best hero, and it's the hero he's named himself after as well. His Korean ID was Dragon Queen. He changed that, of course. Or Dragon Mother, I should say. Changed that to English. Look at that healing placement for No Chat to bounce back. On this map, of course, you do end up grabbing a lot of globes as Kael'thas, so that's another reason why, grabbing this Mana Addict talent at level 1 is very powerful. Formerly known as Darvish Mycen is going to be showing us his mage play once again. Nice little sneaky grab there, right? Overlord getting that globe in. The solo lane is going to operate as the bottom lane right now, but as you can see, because the Junkrat pick is so good at wave clear and is so good on this map, every time the roam goes back for GLuck, Junkrat just goes up there and clears the lane very quickly. So not only do they have a nice solo lane matchup bottom, but they have the extra Junkrat in top. He's able to use Concussive Mind to get away. Bentham playing this very well. And they grab the camp faster, so Supernova just controlling the map a little bit better right now.
Yeah, I think pre-10, because they lack the burst damage without the Riptire, maybe even something like the Planet Cracker or even Salvo. They do have massive sustain with Alexstrasza squished on top with the Portrait, but still they need to beat 10 first, I think, to really control this right now. So they're just buying time, actually leading ahead because they actually got the camp first a little.
Yeah, and they have the spell armor here, which is doing a lot for them against what Mycen is trying to do with his Flame Strikes. Rockstar does get caught here. They commit the Dragon Clean very early, which is, I think, the one big trade-off here that GLuck can be happy about, but still end up with about an even experience set. They do control the turn-ins, and again, this is a comp that has so much CC that you have to respect that on the side of GLuck. So it's not a surprise that they dominate the early game. It's post-10 where GLuck is going to have their best opportunities to bounce back.
And Supernova also has a Junkrat to just poke in just to check if anyone's turning in. So it's actually really hard unless you're actually on the opposite side of the map at the bottom or the top. Bentham will always be tossing that Q at least one at a time.
Very true.
So it took Bouncy to do a little bit more damage once it bounced off the wall. So it all makes sense here.
Yeah, I mean, everything they're doing is pretty intelligently drafted. Kirisako just trying to threaten Asgard so that No Chat can get that turn in. They're just now at enough for a full Web Weaver push. Massively ahead in terms of gems carried at the moment. Sorry, gems turned in, I should say. Ooh, No Chat does get the warp off there. Close call, well-placed Flame Strike from Mycen, but Phoenix does have that ability to get away. And suddenly, for the first time, with a few good trades here for GLuck, they actually have the advantage on the turn-in points. For the first time this game, they can start to threaten their own.
Usually we do see teams when they're pushed back a little with after the camp times. And that is because they lack the wave clear, but in this case, they have Hanzo, they have Kael'thas, Johanna.
Yeah, Malfurion even.
Their wave clear is insane. Same for Supernova, of course, so they're not really backing up too much. It doesn't really take too much time, so all they have to do is make sure they know where the opponent is. Just be careful with the rotation, and as long as Blaze just sustains at the bottom, so they are all good to go right now.
Certainly true. Well, nicely placed root here. Because this game is so difficult for GLuck to get a kill against so much CC on the other side, even the small advantage they were able to take in lane is not enough to get a pick. It's not enough to get a turn in. But eventually, something's got to give here. Supernova does sneak in a few more. They're 5 away now for a turn in. So GLuck is actually the one who's feeling a little bit more extra pressure right now. Kirisako's just showing how good Yrel is in solo lane. So much poke on both sides, so much wave clear as you mentioned. So it's really just kind of who makes a mistake first at this point. Might be GLuck here with Myson losing half of his health. The Rocks are getting chunked down. This could be their opportunity to commit heavily. Ping's
For
coming
now,
in.
Supernova only needs 5 more Kirisaku. We'll have more than 5. Look for a play with the Concussion Mine, not going to succeed with a kill.
They're starting to really lose ground though, GLuck is, with these trades. I think this might actually be it. Broccoli here attacks Haven. Flame Strike will delay. But you could see that everyone's starting to tank a little bit too much damage on the side of GLuck, especially Roxer. Does get healed up now by KCB.
Also Blaze contesting at the bottom. It's taking a little time, making sure that Uriel does not get the turn-in because she was holding 9. That's more than enough to get a turn-in.
The Mono Barrier does finish at 5.5 minutes. That's a Tomb of the Spider Queen exclusive. Oh, they're going to commit the Dragon Queen here, but it's not going to be enough to get No Chat this turn-in. Very expensive what Supernova is doing. Alex here just trying to gatekeep Overlord out, but he's taking a lot of damage himself. No Chat interrupted.
Got the fire in again and completes the arrow as well. So Alex super low, goes down from all the arrow from Overlord.
Yeah, just I think really misunderstanding where their opportunity lies, and that was not it. That was really risky.
I think it was possible, but Asgard actually had pretty nice angle with those flames, making sure the oil catches on fire every single time. Sometimes you do make that mistake. You just do not understand the range of it, and they do get the turn in because of the kill.
Yeah. So GLuck taking a nice lead here now. On the back foot for a lot of that neutral exchange, but just one overextension by Alex cost them big. Good plays, as you say, by Asgard to capitalize on this. Myson's caught here, though, tossed in to the cannon tower. Bentham going to take some damage, but gets away. Myson's dead. Nice play here by Supernova. This is going to really limit what this Web Weaver push can do.
And Kel'Thas was actually doing most of the wave clear as well. So they buy a good amount of time. Making a play, they do have the Blessed Shield, but tosses one over. Great play by Heaven.
He's got a lot of armor, so we'll be able to live through all the damage there. No Chat needs to be careful about his positioning, just being greedy, trying to eliminate this.
One more damage!
Gets the warp over. Sneaky warp there. The Sonic Arrow misses, as do the scatters, because he did not go the way they expected. We are going to see a re-engage here with the Riptire. At least that's what they wanted to do. Not enough follow-up damage, though. Everyone's too low, so they just kill the Web Weaver with that tire.
Overlord Scatter has been amazing this game, hitting everything onto one target. Surely if it continues, it's going to be a big threat for the back line. Like No Chat, we saw Alexstrasza just... I don't think he was expecting that much damage at the moment, but bouncing off the wall. Having all the scatters connect, Overlord is doing a fantastic job on the Hanzo.
Now, Lifebinder is potentially going to be locked in here. You know, you were talking about how it was changed recently, but let's see.
Well, 300 healing per second, so that's actually a good help.
Yeah.
It's a, but still, like, you know, from Pokemon, the moment you learn HM02, you learn that fly skill, and you basically, you're in the sky, you're not touched, you can't be attacked by an opponent.
Yeah.
I think that is the way to go.
Well, the other thing is, okay,
ooh, it is bind.
They do lock in Lifebinder. The other thing is when you learn, what is it, HM05 cut, you can't unlearn it, okay? And that's what happens if you pull Lifebinder, man. You have an ability that helps you cut things, but you can't actually, you know, remove it and replace it with a stronger, more useful ability. So
okay, in this case, sometimes Alexstrasza actually becomes the bait in play because she will actually receive the healing as well. But you already have your Garrosh and Nirel, and I would wonder why. I can give you a question back. Why take the Lifebinder? Let's see how they actually make a play in this.
Well, the other
game.
The other thing is that it's so good for Garrosh because he has passive armor. He can live with such low health. As long as Alexstrasza stays high health, you can give the Garrosh that high percentage, and then Garrosh just starts over back from 0. Dragon Queen is going to be used here. Riptire as well. We perhaps can catch Overlord here with a good bounce. No, that was not it. That was not the angle he wanted to get the kill, but this is doing a lot more damage than the Web Weavers we saw from GLuck just moments ago. This is going to be mid-fort going down, as you can see in the top lane. Bentham is making the push happen. He's going to get another wall down. Bot lane is also overwhelmed by the Uriel push with the minions, and with No Chat coming down here, this is going to take some significant damage, if not just go down. They back off, they play it safer. They could look for back-to-back Web Weaver turn-ins here. They have the 13 advantage. GLuck is going to have to hard engage. The arrow and the Blessed Shield may be what they need to use to make this happen.
See, they still need to get a turn. And
the
no
root,
chance caught! And with the pair up with some GC, but gets healed from Alex Raza, but still goes down. That's a lot of gems drop. Heaven's trying to save it, but he's also getting tossed some damage, but that's already a Phoenix down. And I think they lost 20 plus gems because of that.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they just turn those in because they have 20 of 55 turned in now, but either way, they give a web weaver turn into their opponents. And that was really the quick thinking by Alex to actually get the save, but as you mentioned, it just doesn't matter because the burst damage is too high. We're talking about a squishy target, Phoenix.
And it was on the Phoenix. I think Doge had overextended a little bit when his teammates were not around him, but away from him, actually over the wall most of the cases. So a misposition there, just poorly executed it there. And Alex Raza tried to save him, but not enough. Can't really get the shield back.
Yeah, I mean, it was impressive that he was able to time that to save him for 1 extra second, but yeah, it doesn't end up being too impactful.
And it seemed like GLuck understood exactly what was going to happen, so they sometimes you just stop doing damage because you think you can actually just kill him, but understanding the life finder, the changes to it. I think GLuck has a really good understanding in this game.
Yeah. Good punish play. Honestly, it was a great route by KCB to open it up. So that's the main part of the story here. That's the main sort of takeaway that led to all the things you just described. We now head it into a very even game. GLuck taking a small advantage, 1 fort. But, you know, there's 85 gems still carried by Supernova. They can get another turn in with just simply 1 pick to start a fight. And GLuck is, you know, they have this very slight advantage. They do have, you know, a very late game Kel'Thas now. It's building into the Living Bomb. And once they hit 16 and 20 for him, it just becomes all the more terrifying. So GLuck feels like as long as they play safe, they have almost nothing to lose, because the longer the game goes, it's their advantage. They already hold the advantage, so it means Supernova is more pressed to turn in. They have a lot of gems carried, which means if they lose a team fight, they lose a lot more. So I like how passively GLuck is playing this right now, because they don't need to force anything. They have the better late game comp. They have everything set up exactly as they would like it.
Because if they overextend, they will lose their own, and Supernova may just get close to a back-to-back turn-in with the amount they actually have right now. Trying to poke out and pressure them so that Kirisaka will get a turn-in. And he actually succeeds.
Yeah.
A little slow on that line.
Yep, just 1 second off, and that can be all the difference in the world, as shown now. So GLuck hits 16 for the defense, but it's going to still be unfortunate for them because they had so many opportunities to try to force a fight before this, where they had the talent advantage. It's a little bit slow there. Either way, they're not too worried about this. This maximum probably gets the bottom fort, which is already pretty much dead, and the top fort. And because they have such good poke and such good wave clear, it might not even necessarily get that. Of course, everything can change in an instant if Supernova is able to get picks, and we cannot forget that they have a comp that is filled with tons of damaging CC. I don't really personally agree with how Bentham's been using the Rip Tire this game, though. He has not been able to really utilize it as an initiation tool. Here it comes. Let's see if we can get a better knockback this time. But again, okay, looking for Myson, but just doesn't really come up with anything. The Rip Tires have not been stellar, to be honest. It's a little bit premature, and they don't get this fort. Gonna see Bentham just head down to finish off the bot fort. At least he could do that. He can guarantee that much. But it looks like this web weaver push mostly just catches them up in experience, but doesn't gain them any advantages.
Yeah, Junkrat Post 13 is actually close to semi-global as well. And Phoenix actually took, instead of Salvo, got the planet correct. I'm guessing they want to lock someone up with some CC. They don't really have anything like that. They don't have anything like a big stun. They do have some CC that's going to move the opponents. Maybe it's only for the zoning and the small choke point if that's possible, but I don't really see the best chance that it's going to happen.
Okay, here's the CC I was talking about, though. Roxer gets caught. He is going to try to counter-engage, though, based off of that grab by Haybin, excuse me. Okay. Does not occur. You can see that the vision advantage goes to Supernova in the bottom lane because of that pushed wave. So they saw Asgard going down. They're going to try to take this as an opportunity to turn in.
This kind of choke point is super good for Hanzo. The Overlord looking for all the plays. Kirisaku dives in. Misses the hammer because she's unstoppable.
Yeah, unstoppable, preventing that. Love these kind of ranged hammers coming out from Roxer as well.
The damage from Heaven, focusing on to Garrosh for now, gets the binder. So Heaven does survive, Riptire pops. They're going to continue the damage. Roxer in danger.
The bunker's just way too late here for Asgard. He's caught here as well, does get pulled back over the other side of this wall. As Alex zones everyone away, Bentham's looking for the turn, and Haven's going to do the save. Scatter arrows here blocked by Alex.
That's
Haven
the
needs
save
the
play.
turn in.
Basically, it's a new Ancestral from Alex Raza.
Yeah.
There's a lot less healing compared to it, but still, you can save your tank when it's in danger, and
It's
Roxer
more,
could not do the same.
It's more healing in some cases, you know, depending on the situation. And when you use it on a Garrosh, it's just so difficult to kill the Garrosh during that moment, especially with the changes, because he has all that armor. So he's going to get that 300 HP tick, and then the big burst heal comes through. So how can you kill him in that moment? It's just so difficult if you don't have really big burst, which they do, but couldn't get into position to use it. So despite the fact that Kael'thas has now finished his Ignite, which it works so well with Pyromaniac, he's just not able to really carry these fights. Because that Supernova is playing around it. They've had oftentimes vision advantage because of Bentham. As you say, he's kind of a semi-global. He's rotating around, clearing the waves. So GLuck's movements have been known to Supernova. 19 just around the corner now. We're still not at 20 yet. We're still not in the keep zone. So it's still anyone's game to take. A very old school Tomb of the Spider Queen game, it feels like we're watching here. No big snowball in this game. Only 4 kills at 17 minutes.
Can't really overextend either team. They have a really squishy back line. If they get dominated by a Rel, no one can really stop that from happening. Good luck. We see a lot when they have a team comp like this against Irel and against Garrosh as well. They just totally ignore Irel, and then they try to win the team fight by grabbing every other kill instead, and then finishing off her later. But I don't, with what Supernova actually has, because Garrosh can save his teammate on and all the good stuff with the CC. You can't really dive in and try to look for the other kills. You may just go in and suicide along with your front line. So for GLuck, it's really hard for them to actually make the team fight or engage first of all.
Okay, Roxer, I don't know why he was here. Might have been a 4 IQ bait play, but until it works out, I'm not gonna assume that. He does survive.
Bless your shield and the taunt traded there.
Big win for the Garrosh. In terms of 3 ultimates being used for GLuck, I think that Supernova is going to be very happy with how that played out. We do see Overlord being greedy, just trying to poke heroes down right now. Good interrupt here, actually, by Roxer, but he's caught by the stun. Ironskin does come up. Warp's coming through from No Chat. Good angle here.
Yeah, Asgard comes in just as a safety tool.
Riptire totally useless again, by the way.
A little off timing, we do see that from time to time. Seems like we're having a little too many from Bentham tonight. Does a little damage, Roxer pretty low. Takes some time for Mapian heals to come in.
No Chat just barely avoids that root. Bunker comes up. Planet Cracker's going to bleed it out real quick. Bunker's down now. They have to be careful. Bentham may not be hitting the Riptires tonight, but he is doing a lot of damage. Just without ultimates. Kirisaku caught by the Blessed Shield. Lifebinder keeping him healed up. He is going to get up to full health.
That's exactly what we were looking for, and the team fight continues. Heaven taking a little bit too much damage, but the heals come in at the exact time. That's why you have the Dragon Queen. Locks are getting a little bit too low. KCB popped that Tranquility to heal all of his teammates. Okay,
we're going in. The Dragon Queen giving so much extra healing here now to the members of Supernova. Bentham doing tons of damage. Ironskin does expire, so Roxer's going to have to stay a little bit further back. We will see the Dragon Queen does expire as well.
Ooh, the pokes from Bentham, he was just off to the side, just poking all day long. He wasn't even pressured or punished for anything.
Well, the Kael'thas Pyromaniac plus Ignite means he's got so many living bombs, and that is why everyone on Supernova was so low and why they had to back off at the end there regardless. 20's up for both sides now, and we will see Flamethrower coming in now. I believe is the talent that we're taking here for Kael'thas. And that means that he basically has insane Qs, like turn-ins are basically impossible. And if he hits multiple heroes, he gets a faster Flame Strike again. So that can get a little bit of out of hand very quickly.
We have to push from GLuck though.
Yeah, and that's also going to be...
They have a pretty good wave on the top as well, so if they buy a lot of time, they don't really have to get the keep. If they get the keep, that will be great, but they just have to buy time here.
Well, Myson on this Kael'thas is almost going to guarantee it. Just continue to poke here with the Flame Strikes. Not getting cooldown reduction on that one, unfortunately. Gonna now just push top. The bottom Web Weaver is the scariest one because no one is dealing with it right now. It's gonna get free push onto the keep wall.
No, just using the Planet Cracker as a wave clear tool.
Yeah.
And he doesn't really have to go close to it because it's a global one. And we did see that as well last time with getting the Sappers down with the Planet Cracker.
Okay, Overlord is just chunking down the Healing Fountain, but they still haven't gotten a keep yet. Bottom keep being dealt with by No Chat right now. So GLuck may actually walk away with no keeps here. It would be insane, but it's starting to look like it's very possible. Supernova can go for an engage here once No Chat comes up. Look at Yrel. Look at Yrel. Kirisaku's looking for an engage. They don't know where she is. Uh-oh.
Let's see the sandwich with the hammer. Let's dive in.
Oh no,
Can't
misses
really get
it though.
Can't really get an angle now.
I think charged up too early.
Nice jet propulsion by Asgard as well.
Yeah.
They were at least trying to get the bunker out, but that didn't happen, so nothing really traded there.
It was so close to being epic, but with the wave clear GLuck has on the poke, they have the siege. They're trying to get a keep. They're trying to force us down. As you can see, Bison's just like, ugh. Flame strike it. Drops the Phoenix as well. They're very far forward. Just barely misses that groundbreaker. Does Haybean. Kirisaku this time makes the hard engage. Planet Cracker is here. Mice needs a ton of damage. It's time to turn this around. The Flame Strike does connect. Good bunker here.
That was almost the bait and junk. This one is a great Riptire, gets the damage onto the Overlord. It doesn't really find the Killraptor. Still taking a lot and gets thrown. Not in the range of healing. Gets pop 20.
Indestructible comes up here, getting a lot of extra time here for the Johanna. Asgard jet propulsion's away one more time. But this is a winning fight for Supernova. Asgard's going to be the first to fall. And this is easily a Web Weaver turn in here. They do not try to push the advantage. They just want to get that turn in to push for multiple keeps, potentially the game. With a minute-long death timer here for Asgard, it becomes very easy for Supernova to just play it passive, play it safe with all three keeps up.
That is not the place where they actually want to fight, even though, of course, Flame Strike and all those skills can do a lot of damage, but Supernova just has a lot more space to move around in the mid lane, the top lane, and the bottom lane. In the choke points near where you have the turn-ins, I think those are the best points where GLuck has to initiate or continue to sustain the fight, because once Scatter does a lot of damage right now, by this time, once Scatter can actually get up to close to 40% down onto Garrosh by one skill. So those are the position or the locations on the map that they want to fight. But in the wide open area, they were just retreating because they couldn't really get all the skills lined up.
Yeah, I mean, even Kael'thas is going to struggle in open areas because he's more vulnerable there, and it's easier to avoid all of his skills in the open area, like you're saying. So this is probably game ending, right? I mean, everyone's healthy. The Web Weaver push is right onto the keep. The Web Weaver's still at very high health. Like, GLuck is going to have to hard engage. They've been using mostly the Blessed Shield and the Arrow to defend. They need to use it to set up a fight here as this Web Weaver goes down, or they're going to end up losing all three keeps and potentially the game. Supernova continue to play passive, though, rotating bottom. They have double keep. Kirisaku looking for an engage. But this is just too much pressure onto the core. GLuck needs to make a play happen.
Overlord needs to come now to damage, and he's still on top, just joining the fight right now.
Arrow only onto No Chat. And he's going to be healed. Blessed Shield, way too late. Roxer is getting blown up here. Don't know if he has Indestructible. Looks like he does, but it's only going to last a little while here. Bunker buying some time right now. The Riptire is huge. The core is starting to go down here. We do see Alex pop the Dragon Queen. Roxer has no more Indestructible anymore. Kirisaku with the hard engage. There's the kill onto Overlord. And that is probably going to be game, as there's just no way to defend. Everyone's going back into the Hall of Storms, but there is too much damage on the side of Supernova.
They have to sustain, but the damage without Hanzo is going to be, it's not going to be enough. With the Dragon Queen sustaining for Supernova, they do take game number 1.
Very close game. Very long 25-minute Feels reminiscent of the old days where Kael'thas was meta. There's a Kael'thas EDC on this map. A lot of poke was the way this map was played. It was not played around heavy team fighting. But again, Alex's understanding of Alexstrasza comes up big for them with the Life Binder coming through at level 10. And it's just so strong with Garrosh, but multiple times he was able to position himself in such a way to guarantee that he was going to have full health when the channel occurred. And so in that way, it becomes more powerful than an Ancestral Healing, especially with the nerfs to Ancestral Healing as of late. But GLuck cannot feel too bad about that game. They controlled a lot of the mid-game, and they took some really good team fights. Like, I don't think this is a game you walk away saying, oh, they crushed us, or you feel bad about it. They had a unique draft. And look at Kael'thas' participation here. He ends up being 0-2-1 at the end. Just one death, but, you know, 100% kill to participation. But beyond that, if you look at his damage compared to Hanzo, you can see the Overlord was chunking Garrosh a lot of the time. But it's the siege damage he put off that ended up being pretty nice, and his ability to poke and delay turn-ins. He did not end up carrying, though, because of the way they fought, not in the choke points. He didn't end up carrying like I think he wanted to with his full Pyromaniac Ignite build.
Team comp from both sides, they had lots of pokes, lots of range, and based on skill shots. And neither one of the team actually had any hero to actually dive in like Kerasim and catch the kill like a Regar or anything like that. They just had lots of sustain, but the difference is that you mentioned in the early game is that Supernova had some crazy plays that they can actually make with just having one turned in, connecting with the CC and one blow. Of course, that didn't really happen too many times because in this time, GLuck, surprisingly, they had really good positioning. Just Roxer, oftentimes, of course, Johanna. Even that was picked before Garrosh, so they basically kind of knew that Garrosh was coming. And I think the big game-changing moment was when they picked Lifebinder. I think that was a really good, cool choice, actually, from Alex from Supernova to actually have the game for themselves. Even healing on the Phoenix, I didn't really quite connect too well, but onto Garrosh many times, just healed completely back to 100% HP. That was crazy to see.
And beyond Hanzo, which is mostly sustained damage outside of his Scatter Arrow, once the Scatter Arrow is done, they didn't have any burst. They had slow damage from Kael'thas, which is somewhat bursty, but we're not talking about Tracer Pulse Bomb damage or anything like that, Dragon Blade damage. We're talking about some burst with like Flame Strike and the Scatter Arrow, but then otherwise like slower damage. So the burst comes through onto Garrosh and he gets down low but not dead. Then he has armor. They didn't use their skills at the right moment. So he's walking around with like 20% health, nearly 40 armor, and then the Lifebinder comes through and he comes back up to full. So it worked out really well. If we were dealing with like a Jaina as well, something like that, then this pick doesn't make sense and it doesn't work. But it works really well in this case where you're just kind of surviving through Hanzo auto attacks, waiting for his Scatter to come up. You're like, oh, let's press that Lifebinder button. And then Garrosh is back up at full health, has the ability to toss people, look for ground breakers. That was a very cool game, though. I liked the kind of diversity that we saw in the draft and how these two teams played around it.
And they had Supernova had lots of different strategy, and they had a great understanding how to play this map. Phoenix getting the Planet Cracker. I think we'll see a lot more, especially from Supernova, which means that you don't really have to get close to the enemy to have the salvo scan, which means you will never be exposed to a dangerous situation. You can just be all the way in the back, making sure you just look for the opportunity. When there's a bunker, you just Planet Cracker right on top, and you just line up perfectly with the timing with the Junkrats. What's that one called again? Riptire.
Riptire. The Riptires were
right
really...
after the bunker. That has been the old counter against the bunker. So we did see that at the last moment.
Yeah.
It was just supposed to line up few more times in the game, but didn't really happen too perfectly.
The Riptires
were without it was really good.
The Riptires are way too early most of the time, or the explosion, the like execution of the actual explosion was really late. So Riptire in Heroes of the Storm is like really different than how it's used in Overwatch. In Overwatch, you try to hide it, get to an angle, and get a kill. You don't really use it for displacement at all. Whereas in Heroes, it can guarantee you a kill. Sometimes you can get the last explosion to blow somebody up. But you always want to explode the Riptire in such a way that the heroes are knocked towards your team so that you can capitalize on that moment where they're stunned flying through the air. Another MOBA is that kind of status is called like Airborne, right? Where you're like in the air and you can't really move. Then you land on the ground, then you start moving again, but you're already then getting hit by second CC, third CC, or you're blown up after taking that burst from Riptire. It's so good on this map because the lanes are so close to each other. It's very easy to set up a Riptire from a different angle because it can jump over walls and things like that. But oftentimes it felt like he was using the Riptire just to hit a Web Weaver or just to like do some damage to like almost increase his hero damage in the stats screen, because he would hit Riptires, which then knocked the enemies away from his team so much that they could not follow up or get kills. Otherwise, his Junkrat was really good. Like his auto attacks, his normal, like his normal stuff, like his normal skill shots and his build that he chose, I thought was really cool. It's just the Riptires that were like, okay, you know, this could be better. We're going to Infernal Shrines, so surprise, surprise, another great map for Alexstrasza. I think that given that now we have 3 bans apiece, they should really consider the Alexstrasza ban going into this map, because like, you don't want to deal with that again. You've got to